During the 1960s and right through to the present day, sound systems evolved from their Caribbean roots into a distinctive British urban sound that enabled people to navigate issues of race, identity and culture. Bradford is one of the largest cities in the United Kingdom. It is a beautiful, diverse, culturally rich city with a million wonderful stories to tell. It's a city full of unsung heroes who should be remembered and celebrated for good reason. This is the story of Bradford's sound system, musical heritage and cultural legacy. The 1970s were a significant era for Bradford's emerging African Caribbean heritage black communities. It saw the rise and heyday of black community concentrations in locations such as Lum Lane, Manningham and Girlington, Newby Square, the wider West Bowling, Little Horton and a few other areas.
When we start pick up music, we collect music from here, from wherever I could get them from anyway. When I start get my own little pocket money, I used to go to Virgin record shop or wherever I could get any reggae music from. I used to buy a little collection and we used to get one or two tunes from wherever. Then I start playing my youth club.
Living in West Bowling, we had so many. Even at that time, we had so many religions, we had so many faiths, we had such a massive, huge Caribbean community, and I can still remember that to this day. Every kind of window was open, blaring its sound system out. And again, at that time, I didn't realise sound system and how important that was to the black community.
Almost every pubs in Bradford when they were going on, from Monday, is only night I didn't play Tuesday. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I used to play almost every pub from here to the Job Kick to wherever I play. Everywhere we go, we have to log out with the box them, set them up, string them up, whatever it is, and then we get, start to play music. We have to do everything ourselves.
A lot of guys was coming from London, Liverpool, and Bradford became like a centre point. So on a Friday, by lunchtime, just by Lum Lane, round the corner from the Perseverance was Robbie's Club. So by the time 3 o'clock came, you had all people from all over the country zooming in on Bradford. And Bradford became like the centre point. Anybody who wanted to find people on a weekend, they'd come to Bradford.
People used to come from London, come look for me, because Bradford was so nice. You know what I mean? Oh man, Bradford was the best city in England.
Bradford is a great place. It's always been a great place for what I've heard, back in the days. But I think people tend to forget.
My main is when I go on a weekend, Saturday night, playing the music, see the young, middle-aged and the elder together, enjoy themselves. And that's what I go home and that's what I'm happy about.
With a segregated and socially isolated black community in the city, the club scene from London was about to reach Northern England, providing Bradford with an opportunity to unite its black population like never before.
I grew up in London in a place called Harlesden. In 1972, I came to Bradford on a weekend. I was working for a record company called Transatlantic Record, who was selling out or getting rid of all their deleted stock. So I decided to venture up to the country, and I started in Manchester selling records, and I'd worked my way down to Huddersfield, Bradford, Leeds, Derby and back to London. My sister's boyfriend, who is Sparky's dad, and he suggested one day, why don't you go up to Bradford and start running some sound system up there, because you're selling record up there, it's popular, There isn't any venue that is sort of up to the standard of London. And at the time, a lot of people used to come from Bradford and come to London for the weekend, girls and stuff like that, because they want to party, it was something different, etc. And so I got connected to people before I actually came here meeting them in London, and I used to take them around clubs and stuff like that, you know. And eventually, Zeddy convinced me, introduced me to a guy called Barry, which is known as Rusty. And I remember at the time, when I first went to his house, he had a 600-watt valve amp and 3 speakers and a turntable sat in his living room. And, you know, I played a few records on it and whatever, etc. And he was impressed. So, you know, he agreed that, you know, I can come and run the sound for him. So we set our sight on building a set that could compete with all the sounds in London, Birmingham, Manchester, sounds like Quaker City, Mafia Tone, you know, etc. You know, and hence, that's how we started integrated. Those sound would come up here to Huddersfield and play against us, or play with us in Leeds, etc. and so on. So it got really excited.
Well, the best sound to me anyway, right? You know what I mean? It's always going to be Scotcher. And that's in England, right? Scotcher did have the most powerful sound in England.
First sound was Scotcher. Right. And that was a little 50 watt leak amp when you used to have St. George, which when we come here them days, every Saturday, it used to be a wedding. Right. Black people, and we used to go there, and that's where I go and play my music.
The big sound system for me at the time was Scorcher. Everybody knew about Scorcher sound system. And for me, when you look around at the different sound systems, there were smaller sound systems around, but the big one was Scorcher.
I remember it was my birthday, it was the 3rd of March, and I remember going to see Beanie Man, and I remember Scorcher was playing. I
must say that we actually opened up the door for a lot of people, right, to understand genre of music, you know, and understand the entertaining field that you're in and how you've got to present it, you know, according to the people that you're entertaining.
Even the great Coxsone, right, all them sound like Quaker. They had big sound, but they well them have to respect Scotcher.
Scotcher was one of the first sound systems to play any form of soul music in a dance, people like Bewildered. But Scotcher was the originator in introducing that into that format. Yeah. Without Scotcher, it wouldn't have continued, and it did continue. So you had like reggae music playing for a while, but if you notice, even blues was, if you notice, we had half an hour session, soul, then back to reggae. Yeah. And Scotcher started that formula off, and it catched on all over England.
We were the youngsters that used to carry the box boy them, right? Yeah. You know, Rusty used to include us in building the speakers from scratch at a young age, which brought me into the sound system known as Scorcher at the time.
You know, it made other people realize that they could get on the bandwagon as well. So it influenced a lot of other people to start building sound systems.
This sound is a phoenix from Concrete Line, because I think it was Archie's not here, but me and Bushy, Archie, the two Peltier brothers. As soon as we left school, we wanted to start building a sound. Yeah. So we're talking like 17, you know.
Maybe even younger, man. 16, I think you were about 15, 16.
When we started building a sound with Concrete Line.
At the time, a lot of money came into the country through something called Urban Programme, which is where, you know, a lot of the councils access this money. And Naya Shanti was one organisation that got some good amount of money out of that. But a lot of us were unemployed, and we were all involved in them stupid, you know, £23.50 a week, you know, employment scheme, waste your time, you know, going round and round in circles with no real opportunity for jobs. But yeah, you know, but that was kind of commonplace across the country. Which is, you know, led to a lot of disaffection of young black people in particular.
Not one man could carry an amplifier, you know, because them amplifiers were big, and then, you know what I mean, we talk about valve amplifiers. And let me tell you, not any man could carry the valve amplifier either. You know, it was like, well, that's, you know, that's the main part of your sound system. So there was only certain people that carried them until you got to that position where you could actually carry an amplifier. And you know, you'd have the other parts of the sound or the other parts of the system that Eddie Fisher probably wouldn't even let you carry, you know what I mean? Because that's his baby, you know what I mean? He was responsible for that. So you had hierarchies within a sound system.
So everybody knew they had a key role. Yeah. No role was minor. They were all the same, and we respected each other. But the key factor was, we all loved music and we loved people.
Yeah, that's it. And we were all one big family.
Big family.
One big family.
We was the crew that was just bringing any talent along with us, women singers and everything. You know what I'm saying? We brought talent along. We had good singers.
You couldn't introduce new music in a batch in Bradford here or whatever. You had to keep the format of lovers rock, music that they like, and then you drop in every now and then a new thing. And then once you got them hooked on that now, then you can do a nice little run.
To me, it brought a family of extended people. You know, we had an extended family. So we had the guys in the sound system and we had all the followers, and we were all family together.
The birth of sound systems created an amazing opportunity for many young black people in Bradford to connect with each other across the city and to reconnect with music that reminded them of their African Caribbean roots.
One at the time, man, let me say, we say, like my DJ, them there this corner, and the other sound man DJ, them and him follow than that corner, my follow than that this corner, sir. And I could hear a swarm of people from one corner to the other corner. And then rush down for my crew, them now.
Concrete Lion, Naishanti, yeah, I remember all the little sound systems that were around there, yeah. And I remember, you know, like going to Green Lane back in the day, because, you know, we lived up Canterbury, so we migrated across the town and found ourselves at Green Lane, and we could see guys challenging themselves because there was music playing, but there was a lot of skanking going, a lot of dancing going on, and there was guys challenging each other. I remember Mikey Roots challenging a guy called Donovan Dakers, which two different sizes. One's 6'7" and one's, you know, and Mikey Roots more or less going through his legs. But, you know, it was great to watch. But it was partisan as well, because we were from this side of town and these guys are from the other side of town. So it's quite, you know, pretty much little groups or posses, if you like.
You know, I remember me and little Joe, the Sebastian from Huddersfield, you know. We used to tackle regular every weekend, you know, because we used to prove to each other who have the best, latest music, you know.
We bought 32 18-inch bass speakers, 200 watt, 8 ohms. Because at the time, the way sounds was playing at the time, it was heavyweight. But at the time the transition was coming in as what I would call, what they would interpret it nowadays as dancehall. But we was in the era of both.
They had big egos, sound system men. You know, they wanted to be out there. It was a chance to be out there. You know, and I remember, you know, to know somebody that belonged to a sound system was kudos. You know, like, oh, I know him, kind of thing, because they were famous in your little community. You know, so to be part of a sound system, you had kudos for me.
The introduction of sound systems also increased the opportunities for black club venues to rise, gain even more popularity and patronage in the city.
My family, in terms of music, we've been around sort of like the black music scene for as long as I can remember. If I want to go way, way, way back, my dad had clubs in Bradford when he was a young man. He used to have a club called the Caribbean Club in the 60s. He had a club called the Young Lions. He had another club, I don't remember the names, but obviously he was a music man and a sound man and like in the entertainment business all through the 60s, 70s.
I came to Mappa. I've been to Bibby's, perhaps I shouldn't have been there, but I was at Bibby's, and that was a different experience because of much older generation that went there at the beginning.
You have Mayflower, you have Perseverance, you have Mayflower, you have Sugarcane. Hey man, Lumley not brilliant, man. But the top of Lumley to the bottom of Lumley, you have about 5 pubs. And then, oh my father, man. You see people come from London, come to Bradford to come pub crawling.
I remember when Chris and Floyd Peltier opened up New Edition, and it was the place to be. Anybody and anywhere, it was like out of this world. to be in Bradford and have a club so substantial as that was unbelievable, it really was.
My first good venue was like Palm Cove, but then I had, Mappa. Mappa was sort of like a bringing for me, because I was a youth going out to travel and playing the dance up at Mappa with people around Bradford, you know what I'm saying?
Started to go to, it was called the Scout Hall. It was called Scout Hall, I think it was in Manningham somewhere. And we used to walk from there like 6 o'clock in the morning all the way back to West Bowling, and we all walked together.
I would say that there was no taxis as well, because I remember Mum and Dad used to say that they'd go to Manningham and walk back. It was a hell of a trek to walk back to Little Orton Lane, Canterbury.
We used to have wedding, and then used to have the reception at Textile Hall and them places. And a place them called Queen's Hall. You know what I mean, boss? And them time they were good, man.
Green Lane as a youth club definitely put Bradford on the map, because any sound that was within a 15-mile radius, so Leeds, Huddersfield, maybe some from Sheffield, wanted to play at Green Lane.
Back in the day, when we were young, we went to youth club, things like that, but we had our music there. But, you know, our parents and things like that, they had the clubs that they went to, whether it be down at Bibby's, Sugarcane, or wherever. They used to have the dances where they used to go to and things like that in the clubs.
Well, I used to love going to Sugarcane, and I used to love going to the Queen's Pub, and, you know, there was a lot of different places.
The music scene back in the New Edition time, when you walked upstairs and it was like something out of New Jack City, where there was the music blasting, everybody was dancing, you just wanted to get on the dance floor and shake your booty. Amazing, absolutely phenomenal.
Forget the main road, the back streets, you know, places like your Jokers, places like Dukes, places, all these that were on the sidelines in the back streets. There must have been about a good 15, 20 clubs, you know, up and down. People coming from Huddersfield, coming from Leeds, coming from Wakefield, coming from all over just to experience Bradford's nightlife.
I remember wanting to go to a club at the time called Annabella's, and they used to have a youth night there, but they also had it was a general nightclub, but they had a youth night there, and even the youth night was for under 16s, so no alcohol and this, that and the other, and I still wasn't allowed to go. And when I said I want to go to Annabella's, because my friends were going, my mum said, oh, I know what happens at places like that. But how she could possibly know when she never ventured out there herself was impossible to kind of get a grip on, but still is to a degree, other than, I suppose, if you don't know something, you've got a fear of something.
Another thing, you used to have a club in Bradford them called Black Diamond. You know the dual carriage up here, so? Black Diamond was owned by a man them called Mystery and a white lady called Peggy. And I used to DJ in the pub there, in the club there. And people, oh my father, man. The people just come there to see me, you know. Come used to shake my leg rough, man, you know what I mean? We do have some split and all them things.
We used to pass by a checkpoint and the floor used to be packed with all the elders, dancing away. We would listen to and dance a bit of their music, and then we'd, you know, go off. Then we'd go on our journey to where we was partying.
I mean, we used to do Green Lane Club. Then we'd do either Bibby, or we'll do somewhere else that is like till 2 o'clock, and then we'd be in Leeds from 2, 3 o'clock till 6 or 8 or 9 in the morning.
Anybody who could dance back then was a maker dancing, right? And we always have a chain of people around us.
You could go to a club and you know you'd meet some of your stars there, your friends would be there. So it's not, you know you could get in, because I remember many times I'd go to like, Bradford City Centre town and just get turned away, you know, they wouldn't let you in. So you didn't feel comfortable, but going to the local clubs, you felt comfortable and you felt wanted.
I can remember all those events that we went to, and you'd go into the venue when it was light, and then by the time you came home it was light again, because we'd been there all night, we'd been dancing, listening to music and having some great times. So those were definitely the days that I remember.
Over the period of time, you know, them venues are gone now, aren't they? Yeah. And they're not replaced by anything other.
Clubs were busy, but after the night had finished, people still wanted to party, hence the rise of the blues scene.
In the period of time, through me know my kind of games, I find a place and I start run blues because the wages alone can't carry me. So the idea when me have in my head, me grow up now and come see what is what, me have responsibility.
So I used to sneak and go to the blues, which used to be run by Black Barry, and he was the main man at the time to run blues, but he was involved with Scottish Sound System. That was the main system in Bradford, that was carrying the flag for Bradford. So I'd go to the blues, but when I say I go to the blues, I never used to actually get in. I'd be outside, hanging around, you know. But as the years got by, then I'd eventually get into the blues and I'd, you know, check out the sound system, find out who's who, and eventually sometimes follow the sound system to different areas of England.
Ladies, those times I think those ladies used to dress, you know, is what enjoying to see those ladies, especially those men in their suit and their top hat come out, because the ladies them might try to impress each other, the men them might try to impress each other to come out, because you know black men and thing, they want the best woman when they come out, so everybody dressed to thrill to catch whatever.
You'd go out there, have a late night and, you know, enjoy yourself, you know. It was what was happening at the time. You become part of it, don't you?
There's many things I like about the blues, but I mean, you know, you go there, you see your friend, burn a weed, check out the latest music, you know, and if you're fortunate to have a girlfriend, you know, you've got your little spot there. So yeah, man, so, you know, it was all good.
The music, and the men could dance. Even though I was younger, I've always enjoyed dancing.
So if you arrived on time, then you'll probably watch and observe the sound, bringing in the boxes, the men carrying on, doing all the wiring, and that was quite interesting as well.
In the early days, when we used to play out, and we had to come back from playing in the dance, coming back to play at Falkland, you know. The place used to be rammed before we even got there, and we had to carry in boxes. Remember, we used to carry in boxes over people, stringing up other people's heads and everything. And I mean, the place is packed out, and we had to get in there somehow to string the sound up.
And it was just excuse me,
carrying boxes, you know, them big boxes, you know, carrying them over people's and all that sort of thing. It was just absolutely fantastic.
We know policeman hire them car, right, and take off them and go to blues, come on blues. Policeman do it in Bradford here. But everybody like him because, you know what I mean, he was a good police guy, you know what I mean?
Most of the people, you know, didn't want to go home after. I mean, when I used to switch off the sound, you know, there's people still standing around. And I mean, I remember sometimes we used to play in Leeds and we used to finish at 1 o'clock the following day. And this is on a Sunday. And it was so embarrassing because people were coming out of church or going to church, you know, and we looked wrecked, you know, because, you know, like we've been drinking all night and all that. And, you know, and shattered by then, you know, and it's kind of embarrassing, you know, when sometimes you used to have to face these people, you put your head down when you're walking past them because they're elder people than us, you know?
That was the fun and that was enjoyment in music and in blues and in club. To see people dress up, enjoy themselves. No fuss, no fight, enjoyment.
As the blues dances became more commonplace, popular and widespread, so did the attention they brought to those outside of the black communities. However, the feeling towards blues wasn't always positive.
I remember one night, I never forget it, we were down in the basement and the door just not boom, 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 boom. And I was the one that opened the door and about 6 police were standing there. So I said, what is it? They said, we got a complaint that noise. I said, can you hear it? He said, no, we can't. And they go downstairs. That time we didn't have this door open. And they go downstairs and they just came up back and said, it's all right. But the neighbors complain, you know.
I remember a time I was doing a blues party and the police came in, kicked off the door, took away all the drinks and everything. And that kind of happened on a regular basis, that kind of stuff. And again, you know, what they were there for is trying to mash up our, you know, our livelihood, because, you know, we couldn't go down to town. If we did go down to town, they'd want to beat us up. So this was our own little thing. And it's funny we should be talking about this, because I've done a few of these, if you want to call them blues parties or late night parties. And what I've noticed is, you know, the police used to come, the raiders and all that kind of stuff, shut us down. And as the years were going by, you were getting these clubs now, and there was all-nighters, and then these clubs had now these big speakers, what we used to have. So what they kind of did now, shoved us out the way, took our ideas and made it legal.
Chat from this session, dance stand until our morning. Me say day, dance stand until our morning. Me say day, oh, dance stand until our morning.
My brother Paul was the one who was mostly into clubs and sound systems and things, and he started a sound system back in the day with his friends called Sharks. That was a long time ago. And then from Sharks, he moved on to a sound system called Scorch, which everybody knows. And he played Scorch sound for a while. And then he moved on to doing his own venues and his own nightclubs. And basically, he did it for, well, I suppose for all his life until he passed away a couple of years ago.
Bradford were pinnacle for the club scene. You know, Manor Row, 5,500 to 6,000 people every single weekend, come Friday, come Saturday.
But there's a dance that keep in textile all that I can never forget. The Scorcher. Because Jacob Miller, before his half-time leave, that dance, them go lose him life.
In August 1981, Textile Hall, one of the most popular venues for the black community in the city, was set on fire. Reports say that this happened a week after an anonymous caller contacted the police, telling them it would be burned down.
And you see what happened? It so happened that the sound burned up in the same place, Textile. And after Jacob Miller perform and leave, and him go lose him life.
You know, they used to run the blues, and I used to go down to Rusty's house, you know, when I was about 11. You know, just before blues, we was downstairs in the cellar, you know, so take it in there. You know, the sound, you know, used to these big speakers, which I've never seen before.
Yeah, like Wild Road.
Yes. But around about 12 o'clock now, they made us go upstairs, and we used to sit down on the step listening to the music downstairs, downstairs in the cellar. When it was a good thing as a child to be involved in that, you know.
Maybe sound system was the only thing that could take us out of our postcodes, visit different towns, different communities. You know, for some of us, when we had the sound system, certain cities and towns, that was the first time we'd been to them. And at 17, 16, 17, 18, you know, you'd heard of these places, and then tutus, you know, were actually playing in these places. So, yeah, it brought all of that.
Dolores Daniel. A lot of people knew Dolores. For me, my time goes back to Green Lane, so like a lot of the Green Lane, you know, while I was doing a study, she actually helped, you know, a lot of people, you know. It was Abdul that was running Green Lane at that time, if I believe right, if I'm, you know, if I recall rightly, it was Abdul that was running it. And so what would happen is that my mum was actually best friends with Barry's sister, you know, because those two families, that family and my family, we all grew up together, the Browns, we all grew up together. You know, that was her calling. Maybe her calling wasn't even having children. Maybe her calling wasn't having the children. Her calling was actually what she did in the community. What she did in the community, what she did for those people, you know, like groups of children, pensioners, you know, disadvantaged youth. Even in the later days, she still then went in to do work with children in care.
What we had as young adults and what Bradford had, because we didn't have the internet, we didn't have media, you didn't have a laptop to make music. You had to make music, cut it and mix it, and then you needed something to broadcast it. And to me, that's where sound systems came into their own, because like I said, we knew when Play Space were on Westbourne Road, just boom, 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 we were gone. We were gone, you know, someone's playing tunes, we're off.
From when, you know, we used to go out in 80s, 90s, and it were all about music back in the day. And we're talking music, good music. In my opinion, obviously, it's changed dramatically today, where it's all raves and it's acid tabs and it's whatever else, as opposed to, you know, back when we were there, it was just about the music and the girls. We love the women.
Never knew how to build them, always wanted to, just because we were bass heads, we lived for bass and we didn't need drink and drugs. The music itself was the buzz.
We played with some big sounds over the years, you know what I'm saying? So what with Scorcher, had that name with them sounds there. Anyway, there was Coxsone sitting in my front room, yeah? Waking up to seeing Greg.
Tell it,
woke up one morning and seeing Gregory sat there.
Tell it.
You know what I'm saying?
Man like Dennis Brown going to his house.
Brown and them lot sat in the settee. My dad disappears to London, sat in a hotel somewhere. He sat with Bob Marley.
The birth of pirate radio provided an outlet for music styles that didn't reach the popular music charts, allowing independent music to reach mainstream audiences. Paradise City Radio, also known as PCR, was launched in Bradford, providing a mix of soul, dance and reggae, and even gospel music.
So next thing you know, there's this radio station in Bradford called PTR, Paradise City Radio, and it's local, it's in Bradford. We're like, wow. Our tunes from our city.
I was on PCR for a certain time and that did give me the insight.
What year was PCR?
Boy, dinosaur brain now, we can't remember it.
That's got to be 85, 84.
85.
My biggest moment is when playing on PCR. That's where I get my biggest audience.
So we used to DJ from 12 o'clock at night to 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm not lying, 6 hours solid through. And we basically would be carrying anywhere up to 200 12-inch records. Reggae, funk and soul.
Was about 88 when it started? Yep. And then I think about 89 when I started on it.
When I've looked back, I think I used to stay up 6 hours solid, and the only coke I needed was in a coke bottle. I didn't take any drugs. You know, it was just hydration, the music itself and the fact we were spinning it. And I don't know whatever happened to PCR, but I've always said that it would have been something I would have carried on if I'd not come into social care, because to me, we weren't hurting nobody. We were playing music, we were having a good time. People were ringing us, so they were obviously having a good time. It was a good vibe, it was good to be young. You know, we weren't, in terms of the music we put out funk, soul, reggae, dancehall. We put out the stuff that was being played in the Mayflower, Palm Cove, in the clubs at the time.
We stayed right up until in the 90s when it crashed. And then we'll bring it back again, and then sadly it's no more.
Whilst the early days of sound systems had their challenges, there is no doubt there is plenty to reminisce about in those early days, as those running sound systems have many fond memories.
Let me tell you about one time we was I can't remember where we were playing at. We had a green van. We should call it the green van. The green van. Right, and we're driving down. We're on the motorway. We get stopped by the police, and the police is like, you know, the usual, what you doing and where you're going, and you can hear everybody going shh shh. So you got the guy in the gun shh. So the police goes, so what have you got in the back, mate? He says, oh, it's just you know, the music system and all that sort of thing. Blah 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 blah. So he says, well, can I take a look? And he lifts up the back, and there's about 30 or 40 people in the back of the van, sat on speakers and all that sort of thing. And, you know, to be in front, the police were absolutely brilliant. Just shut them and says, get on your way, mate. He just said, get on your way.
Respect to Reverend anyway, because, you know, so we go back from days, me and him, you know, how we push and shove with Scorcher show from here to Manchester to Sheffield, and then him have them all big backs that weigh about 10 ton that me and him one used to have to bring up, you know. But we have some nice night and enjoyment.
I think there's a number of things. It's the unity, the camaraderie, the learning that you get from it, the adventure, notoriety, all of that.
I think it's brought together. Obviously the entertainment, but unity amongst all races, you know, because back then in the blues you had your black, you had your white, you had everybody. It brought unity, it brought what you were providing at the time were memories for yourself and other people. Even in blues, when blues was illegal, you know, it still brought a sense of unity and community.
Well, I was here at the very beginning, so a lot of the changes have happened over generations, but when I was there, all I could say was it was unity. Because whoever it was, even right back at the very, very, very beginning, it wasn't even just black people. There was Robert Riley, there was Andy Ross, Peter Ford. But as time went on, they gradually drifted away. But it was unity, you know, and everybody respected each other and looked out for each other. And if one person was hungry and you've got something, you would snap it and you would always share it.
My best memory is when my brother first took me out to watch them play, and that was a night in Bibby's with Naya Shanti and Wadada from Huddersfield. So that was like my first experience, and that's where I caught the book, really.
Well, it's only now I have few dub plates, but I wouldn't sell my music then because it's too precious and things. Well, I even have a record which I think even a vinyl up to now, I put it specially away because a guy tried to buy it off me. He started out with 50 quid, then he come back with £500 and I still wouldn't sell him it.
You know, my years in Scorcher Sound and running that, you know, brought so much joy to me that even when I reflect back now, you know, it brings a good smile to me. I can remember certain occasions. I can reflect back on. In fact, I could write a book, which would be like a poem to me. You know. Yeah. So as I say, no regrets where it's concerned, and wonderful, really good.
I look at the good times, which was absolutely brilliant. I look at the bad time, which was nightmare. But guess what? I would not change one single second of it. I was blessed to live that life. The happiest time of my youth. Scorcher.
Only wicked men will go to hell, boy. Go to hell. Oh,
104.9 FM.
So when the dub plates came in, when people used to fling down these dub plates, they were like the whole place used to erupt. And obviously back in the day, they used to slap the walls.
They were good because the people that come, they respect it. You know, you might have some that can start something, but the crowd that go around the sound make sure things are calm, you know. They didn't make a fuss. If somebody start an argument, out you come.
We never have none trouble and no fighting and stuff. You see? That never exists. We never exist, fighting, we never exist. Enjoyment.
It was better, 100% better than where it is nowadays, where at least you have places that you could go and have a night out or an evening out, you know what I mean, without the excitement of violence or whatever.
Music bring everybody back to life. Music bring people together. I mean, if it's, for instance, look when the carnival, where do you go and meet people? You see people that you've seen for years. You met up. That bring people together. And especially on the Sunday when the artists are on. That's what people look forward to. You people go there.
The things that I miss, the freedom spirit, the community spirit, the music, people being nice and kind to each other, and the risk that came with it. I miss that.
I can still talk to a lot of the friends that, you know, we probably had a lot of issues and a lot of problems with back those because, you know, prejudice and bigotry was very strong back then. You know, it's very, and those same people now can sit down, you know, over a pint, and we can talk about those days and those you know, those issues.
You go to a party nowadays, you're not partying. Everybody have their phone out. What's that for? If you want to do a video, you go to a video shoot. You come to a dance, I don't expect you to carry your phone. I expect you to come and enjoy yourself, party and have fun, because that's what it was.
People came out to dance, have a good time. They didn't just come out to be like this.
Yeah, you did. You came out, you had a good time, you had a dance, you talked to people. You know, it was a big thing. It was a big thing without realizing. You don't realize that you were bringing people together.
I'm so privileged to be part of that era where music, sound system, you know, people being respectful of each other. Yeah, I miss that. I miss that relationship, that community relationship that we've always had. And I wish sometime it would come back. But memories are always there.
It's true to say that sound systems began to fade out in the early 90s. Nevertheless, there are still a few that remain, and also new sound system crews flying the flag for Bradford.
So my name's Jamie Lindo. A lot of people know me as Diggy. The sound system that I represent is Street Vibes Family. It's a local sound that's originated in Bradford, UK, but the roots of it, or should I say the roots of myself, it stems way back from Jamaica. We were grateful that Bradford had a music scene, but we felt that it was time for a bit of change. So that was one of the main motivation and inspiration to kind of join the music scene, to see if we could bring some change. Try bring a voice for the youth, so to say, so that our side of the culture could be also on the forefront. The thing what I enjoy is it's about putting a smile on people's face. I like entertaining people, so that's why we've gone into music, and for me, music has just always been a passion. So I get a joy out of seeing other people happy, people dancing, people creating memories with the friends and with the loved ones, and also I guess looking at it from a business perspective, being able to can enable also my colleagues with providing an extra source of income, and also looking at ways of keeping everybody active and creating positive friendships. So it's more than just playing music, it's that network. So that's what playing music provides me, and also for my colleagues and my peers and what should I say, the family. I think with the sound system culture in Bradford and on a whole, especially within the UK, it's brought togetherness, it's brought communities together. It's helped with integration, so to say, and I think that's something that sound system culture has definitely played a big role on.
So what do we say about the future of Bradford sound systems, the black music scene, and optimism about the city moving forward?
I'm involved with sound system for since 1999. We start again with sound system, inspirational sound with the pan, you know. We call us the Bradford Dub Defender, and we're still active, you know.
Music is a major part of a lot of people's life, and for me it's immense, and there's so much to do as well.
Just try to educate these younger generation to say music is love, music is bring people together.
I think if we could bring things back like the carnival, I think that would be massively important for the city, for the diversity, and to bring back that culture. I think it'd be absolutely amazing, get more people, young people involved, because I'm not so sure that the younger people of today actually had the opportunity to go to places like we did, because they don't really exist much anymore. And I think to bring that back would be absolutely fantastic for everybody.
I can tell you now that if there was a sound system put in Bradford, in Manningham Park in the middle of summer, and it was advertised, it's like Bill and Ted said, didn't they? The Bogus Journey 2, if you make it, they will come. Because you hear music, it's a magnet. People will come. And that's the thing about live, outside, sound music. It's sound. And you hear a busker and your ears are pricked. So if you've got 10,000 watt sound system pumping bass out with something that's current or something of the flavour, people are going to come.
I think it's not just for sound systems has become quite popular, not just with people of colour, but also you've got a lot of students, so you're getting a lot of the I say white people are really into sound systems.
There's local art community going. What else have we got? So we need to keep it going. Somewhere safe where people can go and meet each other, be friends with each other. Like nowadays, because like COVID, mental health's a big issue. I think you need somewhere where you can. Pubs are closing, but we need these places, for our community.
If we could just have somewhere, and the place is there, but it's just to get the community back together.
I just think that it's really important that we do archive, record and maintain memories for the future generation.
And I just hope that we can see more outdoor events where a lot of people can come together and enjoy the vibes and have a good time.
These little stories, these little sound system clips and everything has to be told so that people out there know that Bradford was a force in the sound system era.
I'm bringing back Ska Chant in full force. Ska Chant been nowhere, ain't gone nowhere. I'm just painting up the boxes and dusting down the boxes. Because dust off of the box and then play them again.
Well, I would encourage the young ones to get together, not fighting and carrying on. Just get together and make a life for themselves and make it comfortable for the others that come in, because we're having great grandkids growing up. We want something for them. We don't want to be on the ground all the time. We want to be up.
Don't let anyone say to you that you can't do it. Just go hard, work hard, and go for whatever you put your mind to.
Bradford had and still has a good vibe, a very good vibe. Back in the day, people used to come from all over the place to come to Bradford. Rather than people leaving Bradford to go to Leeds or Manchester or Huddersfield, we used to draw crowds in. So it's good for people to remember and realise what we had in Bradford. We had a big community. We had a lot of sound systems, a lot of clubs to go to. The place was absolutely banging in the 80s, 90s, and we believe it can still be that way today. I still think it's one of the best places to be.
Bradford and District has been awarded the status of UK City of Culture for 2025. Is this a prime opportunity for the sound systems to reawaken and take their unique place within Bradford's demonstration of its diverse and rich cultural mix of peoples and musical heritage? We'll have to wait and see.
FM stereo.
Well, remember, this is the final Frankie Paul.
Old folks used to say that love is blind.